Hey guys, it's Lee, and in this video I'm going to share 7 things that beginner photographers absolutely need to have. Now, the very first thing, of course, is going to be a camera. You definitely want to have a camera. Doing photography without one is not really that easy. No, but really, you definitely want to have a camera. And now I can tell you can start off with your cell phone and you can start to take photos and you'll be great at photography over time. I can tell you that, but I feel like that would actually be a lie. Honestly, what you need to do is you need to start off with a camera that has the ability to swap out lenses. Okay, a camera like this camera, which is the Sony a6400, would be the perfect first camera for you. But if you are not sure about this camera or you want to learn more, I actually have a review on this camera. So look up here and also in the description box below, and I'll cover that. But before you watch that, let's finish with this video first. Now, you definitely want to start off with a camera, again, with interchangeable lenses. One of the main reasons why you want to have a camera that has interchangeable lenses is just mainly because being able to swap out lenses is going to give you a different look and feel to your photographs. It's going to lend itself well to different types of photography, and then also it's going to give you the ability to really learn and grow over time what makes a photo beautiful, what makes a really amazing shot, and how to actually frame up those different shots as well using different types of lenses. It's really going to help you learn very quickly. Now, when it comes down to the body, right, the actual camera itself, this is something that is even more powerful than your cell phone camera. It's going to give you the ability to really dive deep into the exposure triangle and really learn how to use a camera and how to take phenomenal photos. Now, for instance, with a camera body like this, you're going to have the ability to do so many different things. So for instance, you know about manual mode, you've heard about it. You can go into manual mode and you can play around with aperture, ISO, you can play around with shutter speed and really change the look and feel of your photographs. You can take different types of photos just by manipulating all those different components that make up a perfectly exposed photograph, right? So for instance, if you want to play around with shutter speed and figure out how that actually changes your photos, you can go into the city and take photos of cars driving by, or maybe you can take a photo of someone in a subway station and focus on that one person and let everyone else around them blur out. You can really play around with different types of photographs. You can actually if you have a lens that is fast enough, you can actually open your lens wide open, right, to maybe like an f1.4 and get a nice creamy blurry background with your lenses and just really take some nice beautiful photos or maybe portraits with these different types of lenses. You can do that. You can play around with that. You can take astrophotography photos as well with different type of lenses. Like for instance, this is a 16mm lens on this camera, which is the equivalent of a 24 on a full frame camera. You can actually use this to take maybe some landscape photos, or maybe you're into astrophotography and this is a camera lens that you can actually use to do that. You have so many different options when it comes down to using an actual camera that I really highly recommend that you start with that. Now, of course, you don't have to start with Sony. There are other different brands out there, Canon, Nikon. You can find other cameras to start off with, but make sure that you have the ability to swap out lenses and that they actually have great lens choices as well with that particular brand. So make sure you do your research, or you can just watch my other videos here and go along with this this a6400 and be super happy with that. The next thing you're going to absolutely want to have are different types of lenses. Now, we just talked a little bit about some of the lenses and why you want to have different choices, but you want to have an array of different lenses. So for instance, this camera actually came with the 16 to 50 millimeter zoom lens, right? This is basically a kit lens. It came with this, and this is the equivalent to maybe like a 24 to 70 on a full frame camera. This is a very good sort of focal length. You can take a lot of photos with this and be very happy. But in terms of the aperture, it really only opens up to 3.5 to 5.6, which is not that great, right? But it's something to start with, right? So for instance, if you don't want to break the piggy bank, or it's too costly for you, definitely you can start off with this lens and be happy for a while, but you're definitely going to want to move into other lenses over time as well. So for instance, there is this Sigma 30mm f1.4, which is actually a great lens. APS-C, this APS-C camera has a 1.4 crop, so this 30mm it's basically equivalent to like a 42mm lens on a full frame camera. Now, you've heard of the Nifty 50, right? This is pretty close to the nifty 50 if you look at it from that perspective. I'm sure you can find some other lenses as well on the APS-C body that will be maybe a little bit closer to 50, but this is a great place to start. And maybe you might want to start off with taking portraits with this lens, which is actually pretty good lens for that. And the f1.4 is going to really give you some really creamy background. You're going to really be able to dive into depth of field and what that looks like, what that feels like for different photographs that you take. And we just talked about the 16mm lens. Like I said, this is an equivalent to the 24. This is going to give you a wider view. And again, it's an f1.4, and that really gives you ability to take pictures, you know, when it gets a little bit darker and things like that. So having different lenses are going to basically help you to learn how to use your camera with different types of lenses. It's also going to give you the ability to take different types of photographs. They're going to have different moods. You're going to be able to really figure out what it is that you really like to capture. And these different lenses are going to actually help you along in that journey. And that's why it's going to be very, very important for you to understand and establish different types of lenses. Now, over time, if you want to move into a full frame camera, you can definitely buy full frame lenses and actually still use it on this body. Now, I don't know about every single, you know, brand out there and if they have that ability to do that, but especially with this camera, you definitely can do that. And you can buy those more expensive, better lenses, try them out, use them on this actual body. And then when you're ready to upgrade to a full frame camera, you can definitely do that and be super happy and already have some really great lenses that you can start off with when it comes down to taking you further along into that full frame journey. Now, the next thing that you want to consider is how to actually carry the gear that you acquire. You're going to want to have something that is going to help you protect your gear over time. Now, I'm definitely going to show you some of the options that I use that I find to be very helpful, and then you can kind of decide what works well for you. Now, my very first camera actually came with like a bag. It was a Canon T3i, and it came with like an actual Canon bag, and that actually worked well for years, and I used that. But then later I sort of upgraded to, you know, some other bag. Let me just kind of show you a few different options that you might want to consider. So the first option might be something like a sling bag. This is a Peak Design sling bag, 6-liter bag. This is great because you can fit your camera in here and a few different lenses. You can add all of your accessories, your SD cards, batteries, everything in this one bag. And this is really great, especially if you live in a city or if you're going to be out and about. You can just put this on and this can just kind of stay with you all day, and it protects your gear. Very unassuming as well. It's not really jumping out at you saying like, hey, this is a camera bag, right? And let me just kind of show you the inside. Lots of space inside. You can definitely go with something like this to start and be happy for quite a while before you need to sort of get a larger bag. The next kind of bag that you might want to consider might be like a canvas camera bag, right? A bag like this. I got this on Amazon actually, but there's plenty of space. It comes with padding inside. You can put one camera, 2 cameras in here. You can put your lenses, everything will fit in this bag, and this is great. This can be a really great first option for you if that's the route you want to go, and it definitely protects your gear because that padding is pretty sturdy. And then this is probably one of my most favorite bags ever, and this is the Peak Design Everyday Backpack, and this is just a great bag overall. You can actually put everything that you need in this bag and use this for a very long time. If I were going to actually recommend something for you to get, it would probably be this Peak Design bag. Now, if you don't want to break the piggy bank because Peak Design is not necessarily the cheapest brand out there, then I would probably go with maybe the sling bag or maybe one of those canvas bags like I mentioned that I got on Amazon, because those are a bit more affordable. But if you have the money and you want to spend it, or maybe your birthday or Christmas is coming up, you can definitely ask for a bag like this. There's lots of space. You can put everything in on the side. It's really a great bag overall. So I would definitely recommend, you know, one of those. And then of course, Amazon has some Amazon made bags as well. If you don't really want to break the piggy bank, you can go that route too. But you definitely want to have a bag to store all of your gear, something that's going to protect everything, so that you're not out here just, risking it all when you're out and about. So the next thing that you're going to want to make sure you have are, different camera straps. Now, the camera straps that come along, with your camera, now, it works, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. It's going to last you. It's going to, support your camera, and you're not going to have to worry about it. But over time, you might find that if you're out for a long time and that's what you're using, the camera strap is just not necessarily the most comfortable strap to actually walk around with all day. So you might want to actually upgrade to something that's a little bit better. So I actually recommend another Peak Design product. I promise I'm not sponsored by them, but maybe one day I will. If you guys see this video, Peak Design. But this is the Peak Design Slide Lite. And I didn't actually bought the original version, and I just found it to be a little bit too thick for me, so I got the Slide Lite. This is really great because you have the ability to use this like a regular, camera strap, and you also can use this as like a slide, like basically you can have it go across your body as well, and you can sort of use it like that as you're out and about. So you have a couple different options there. So this is a really great option to start with. And another option that I really like as well is this Peak Design wrist strap. And it really just goes around your wrist. It clips in here on your camera. It's great. It's comfortable. You can, use this for quite a while while you're walking and things like that. I really like this option sometimes as well, but it's really up to you. Overall, when it comes down to different camera straps, just remember that the camera strap that you're purchasing is going to be holding and supporting your camera. And so you don't want to go and cheap out and get the most, cheap, strap that you can find on the internet. You want to get something of good quality so that it can, number one, protect your gear and actually keep your camera around your neck. And then number two, you want something that's going to actually last you. The next thing you're going to want to absolutely have as a beginner photographer are accessories. Yes, accessories. When it comes down to any, profession or hobby or anything, you definitely are, there's going to be a slew of different accessories that go along with it, right? But when it comes down to photography, there's some accessories that you definitely want to make sure you have, and you're definitely going to want to make sure you start off with them as well. So one of the first ones is going to be a blower, okay? This is going to basically help to remove any sort of dust on your lenses and also on the sensor, because when it comes down to dust and dirt and things like that, that's not going to be your friend when it comes down to photography. You don't want anything on your lenses and you don't want anything on your camera sensor. So this is great to help remove that. And then also you're going to want to have, a lens wipe as well. So first you want to blow your lenses off and then you want to wipe them down. And this is also going to be great to do that first as well, because if there's any kind of debris on the actual lens itself and you don't blow it away, and you go ahead and introduce this wipe, you can actually potentially start to scratch your lens as well. So that's why you want to make sure you always have lens wipes with you everywhere you go, all the time. Now, the next thing you're going to want to have are extra batteries. So this is actually a battery for the camera I'm filming with right now, but you want to have extra batteries to go along with your camera. And the reason why you want to do that is because obviously if you're out and about and your camera dies and you run out of juice, well, that's kind of a bummer. And so you want to have extra batteries so that you can go ahead and swap them out pretty easily and keep going, keep shooting, keep having fun, photographing whatever it is that you're photographing. The next thing you're going to want to have, of course, is an SD card case as well. This is going to really serve itself well to you. You can store all of your extra SD cards in here, and you can bring this along with you. And so if you fill your cards up for some reason, you can go ahead and swap them out and always have this available. You can find cases like this on Amazon. I'll leave some of these options below, all the things I'm talking about, in the description box, but these are great options for you too, and you really just can't go wrong. And I definitely have a ton of those different cases laying around. And it goes without saying that you're going to want to have extra SD cards for your camera as well. Now, the next thing that you're going to absolutely want to have as a beginner photographer is software. Okay, you're going to want to have editing software. I recommend Lightroom as a software that you start off with. So Lightroom Classic, it's a wonderful software. It's very powerful. It gives you the ability to edit your photographs, to render them, to turn the raw files into to JPEGs. You're gonna really learn and take your photography skills to the next level when it comes down to using Lightroom. And don't let it be something that you're afraid of when it comes down to photography as well, because being able to edit your photos is really something that is going to grow over time in terms of that skill set, and it's going to be something that's going to also help to set you apart as a photographer over time. And it's going to be something that is going to be really exciting to do as well, as you learn and grow as a photographer. So for instance, if you are taking photos of people, and that's what you really find that you love to do. You love to take portraits, right? Over time, as you establish yourself as a photographer and you figure out the types of photos that you like to take and how you want them to look, what might happen is that you're going to be able to find your style when it comes down to photography and how you want your photos to look. Now, something like Lightroom is a way that you can actually start to edit and change your photos and give them a certain look and feel. So for instance, if you are a moody photographer and you love to take those moody shots, you can use Lightroom to help to move your photos in that direction. Or if you like light and airy or sort of colorful and bright photographs, you can also do that with no problem. But being able to master and get really good at editing is going to be something that's going to really set you apart and really take you a long way when it comes down to photography. Now, a secondary software that I'm not going to say you need as a beginner, but it's going to be Photoshop. It's something that over time, as you get better and better, and certain types of photos that you take might need a little extra to it. And so you might want to use Photoshop for that as well. But that's just something that you can do later down the line, but definitely you want to start off with something like Lightroom to start with. The next thing you're going to want to have as a beginner photographer is some sort of idea or goal as to what direction you're going in. Think about what it is that you want to get out of photography. Think about what it is that you want to actually capture and get good at when it comes down to photography. So like I mentioned earlier, it could be that you really love to take portrait photos, or you really love landscapes or astrophotography. It's going to be something, right? And so kind of set some goals for yourself in terms of what you want to learn, what you want to do when it comes down to photography, and where you see yourself going with photographies, right? So for instance, if you find out that you really like taking pictures of people and portraits, and you take pictures of strangers and your friends and your family, and you're really interested into that, what is one of your long-term goals? Do you want to start to have clients? Are you looking to do that, or start a business, or have a side gig? What is it that you really want to do with that? Do you like taking pictures of interior design? Are you really into that? Maybe it might be real estate that might really lend itself well to you. Maybe you're going to get really good at photos like that. So it really just depends on what it is that you actually want, but it's something that you want to sort of figure out and determine so that you can kind of move along and sort of grow into whatever that goal might be. And one of the other things that is really exciting about the software like Lightroom that I mentioned is that you can go back and look to see how far you've come, how you've gotten better at photography. You can look at some of your most favorite photographs that you've taken and just be really excited about that journey along the way. And even myself right now, I've been shooting for over 10 years. I go back and look at some of my older photographs, and I look at some of my photographs that I've taken most recently, and I'm just so blown away by how far that I've come. And that's just something that's really exciting about photography, is just sort of learning and growing. And it's really a non-stop thing. You're always going to have something else new to learn, always have more to grow, and that's really the most exciting thing about photography. Now, if you made it this far in the video and you like this video, please hit the like button. This is a new channel. I'm looking to grow, trying to get to 100 subscribers as soon as possible, so definitely go ahead and hit that for me. Also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button for more videos just like this, for videos on photography gear, tips and tricks and things like that. That's what this channel is all about. Definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.